Five Nights at Freddy's is a series that has managed to not only survive, but thrive over the past 11 years. A main reason for that is no doubt the varied and interesting locations that these games take place in. From the compact and eerie spaces of the original Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, to the grand and spectacular family entertainment center that is the Mega Pizzaplex. FNAF has created a ton of environments for players to experience over the course of its games. There's one thing in common, besides the presence of deadly animatronics, that brings all of these locations to life. Of course, I'm talking about the lighting. While quite a hidden and unmentioned aspect, the lighting of a FNAF game is one of the most important things about it. Today, we will be exploring the lighting featured in every mainline game of the series and talking about how it shapes each location and enhances the animatronics within. This one's a long one, so grab yourself a slice of that definitely not recycled Fazbear pizza, an ice cold soda-roni, and let's get into it. Five Nights at Freddy's, the original, sets the standard for what lighting should be in a FNAF game. It's so simple, yet so effective at doing exactly what it needs to do. The building is dark, most rooms having just one or two dim lights within. This, combined with the very well thought out placement of these lights, leads to a truly eerie feel across the entire building. Look at any room in this place and you'll see just what I mean. Backstage is one of my favorite examples. The view here is truly chilling, isn't it? Not really, actually. This isn't backstage. This is a render I made showing what the room would look like with just a plain overhead light. Pretty boring if you ask me, and not at all scary. Now look at what backstage actually is with its original lighting. Still a render I made, but true to the original look. The difference between the plain overhead light and the genius lighting that the original game featured is substantial. The empty spare heads are turned into true monsters watching you from the dark, and the spare endo becomes a threat that could awaken at any moment. Every room in the building is like this, showing just how much difference the light of a space can make. I mean, just look at some of these rooms, from the West Hall's ominous walls to the towering curtains of Pirate's Cove. Every detail here is enhanced by the incredible lighting throughout the building, and these spaces wouldn't be as iconic as they are without it. This effective use of lighting carries over to the animatronics as well. This is Bonnie roaming the West Hall. This is Bonnie roaming the West Hall with the original lighting from the game. The difference is literally night and day here. In one, he's a little silly, if anything, while the other shows him as a twisted monster ready to kill. Freddy uses the lighting here the best of any animatronic. He lurks in the darkness of the building, peeking out at you with his white dot eyes. From the dining room to the East Hall, he utilizes the sparse lighting to become a truly scary threat roaming the pizzeria. I believe by now you understand just how impactful the lighting is in making this location and its characters come to life. Before moving on to FNAF 2, I'm going to leave you with a little bit of silence just to take in some of my favorite shots of the location. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is surprisingly different from the first game, despite only being released a few months after. The building is far darker than the first one, leading to more unknown within. Despite this, there's still a few standout rooms here, one of which being the show stage. The animatronics are menacing here. The main thing I love about this shot is the fact that you can't see any of their eyes. This is something used later in the series as well. It looks like they're sleeping beast, waiting to patiently come alive. The main thing with FNAF 2's lighting isn't anything in the environment though. The main attraction when it comes to the lighting in this game is actually the flashlight. A flashlight that is usable in every room of this place through the cameras. This makes previously unseen spaces fully visible to you. Now you'd think that would take away from the scares, but it actually adds to them. Unlike the first game, you have the option to uncover what is lurking in the darkness, leading to many chilling views in every room. The vents are a prime example of this. It is pitch black no matter who is in there. meaning you have to turn on the light to see. The scare there comes from whether or not you, the player, wants to turn on the light. As much as I might dislike FNAF 2, this system does lead to some frightening moments sometimes. Think about parts and services, for example. Like the vents, you can't see anything unless you use the flashlight. Even once you do, the room is not fully visible, hiding most of Withered Chica, Withered Freddy, and completely hiding Withered Foxy. As a result of this flashlight mechanic, FNAF 2 has some really cool shots. Every iconic shot of this game is either one with the flashlight involved or in the office. This ultimately means that the normal views without the flashlight are nothing special. With that, I'm going to leave you with some of my favorite shots before we move on to FNAF 3. Five Nights at Freddy's 3 is a complete shift from the first two games. Yeah, it's still dark in some corners, but the lighting here isn't meant to hide Springtrap from you, it's meant to make him more menacing. The lights here are intense, coating the horror attraction in yellow and greens. The coloring helps to sell the whole thing as being real. It creates a gross, rotten, and grimy atmosphere, perfect for the location and for Springtrap to be hunting in. This shot from Cam 8 captures exactly what I mean. The light coming from Chica's eyes here was such a strong decision, and it works so well. Springtrap, while visible, is essentially just an outline, a small peek at the full monster that is the man behind the slaughter. The lighting brings so much attention to him, and proves just how ominous he is. Another example is in camera 7, when he's hiding in the corner. The light directly next to the cam is distracting at first, but it works well to bring your attention to Springtrap. It brings you specifically to his eyes, another very subtle aspect of the lighting, while still not giving you a clear view of the threat. Another way that these lights affect Springtrap is by making him look more rotten than he already is. This scene from inside the office is a perfect example of what I mean. He looks so gross here, along with the whole area in general, which works super well and, again, is very fitting. It's not just Springtrap that benefits from the yellow lighting, but the whole location in general. Every single room in the building really feels like something that would be in a low-budget horror attraction. Just like Springtrap, the lighting makes everything feel rotten and decayed. There's no specific examples of this that super stand out to me, just in general every room is really solid. A small lighting decision that does stand out to me is the eye lights. We talked about Chica's earlier, but elsewhere in the building you can find Foxy and Bonnie heads too with lights in their eyes. This detail, while small, is a very cool one that adds to the spookiness of the location. It's also really cool that it hints at some of the lore, with the souls not yet being put to rest. FNAF 3 features some very unique lighting for a FNAF game, and it works super well. Here's some of my favorite shots, as always, before we move on to the next game. Five Nights at Freddy's 4 takes darkness to a whole new level. This one doesn't have many rooms to go over, and with only a single light source, there's not too much to talk about it. It's simple, really. The lack of light is the main cause of horror, and it's highly effective. This one is one of the only FNAF games that still scares me to play to this day. I mean, this game does really feel like a true nightmare. The entire gameplay loop is based on the flashlight, which makes the lighting in this game more important than in any of the previous games. There's not a whole lot of spectacle to it, which is a bit of a shame, but FNAF 4 wouldn't be as peak as it is if there was more light in it. This game has some of the most basic and bare bones lighting, but sometimes really less is more. Five Nights at Freddy's sister location once again stands out from the other games so far with its lighting. Taking place in a highly futuristic bunker for its time, The lighting is highly varied and unique in each environment we go through. The primary control module is dimly lit in a green light, almost alien in nature. Static monitors line the ceiling, emitting a faint glow. It's all pretty dark and dim, and that's because this room isn't really that important. It doesn't want to take your attention away from the ominous voids on either side of you. Both the Ballora Gallery and Funtime Auditorium are pitch black, each with different lighting mechanics. The more interesting one is in Foxy's room. The way this section is done is incredible, the flash beacon becoming a very cool way to use the lighting. It's scary when you flash and see Funtime Foxy right in front of you. The Ballora Gallery, on the other hand, lacks any real light source, with a very short-range flashlight being all that you have. The lack of lights here aids Ballora in being the terrifying ballerina she is. The Circus Gallery gives yet again a different vibe from anywhere else in the facility. All of the little lights on the control panel, along with the 4 colorful lights above, makes this room feel like the control room of some futuristic spaceship. The flashing blue light that covers the entire room leads to fear, panic, and maybe a little dread. Flashing lights are always scary, especially in a place like this.
I know you're over there somewhere!
Oh, don't you worry, Kellen. No one could forget about you. The breaker room is this game's best use of lighting, hands down. The flickering blue light is essential in making this part of the game truly scary. Funtime Freddy is a monster that only moves in the darkness. Every flash could have him one step closer to killing you, causing more of that panic and fear that the trailer of this game promised. The most varied game so far, Sister Location does a ton right with its lighting, which helps to sell the feel that the location wants to give off. Futuristic, high-tech, and dreadful. Here's some of my favorite shots, as always. Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator is in the same boat as FNAF 4. It's very simple with its lighting, and because of that, there's not a ton to go over here. The main office gameplay features your flashlight, and that's it. Nothing interesting is even done with it, so it's kind of a pretty boring light to talk about. Not that any one particular light is, thrilling to talk about, but this one is especially boring. I guess that's it for this one, so let's move on.
Connection terminated. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but your job isn't over just yet. You've forgotten to cover a crucial part of this game that meets the criteria of your special obligations under paragraph 4. Document the use of lighting for the video, then you're free to go. End communication.
Sorry guys, I don't know how I could forget about the salvage minigames. Still simple, sure, but the way the dim overhead light makes the animatronics look is something else. I mean, even Scrap Trap is made pretty scary, and his design is, Seriously though, the characters tower over themselves, leading to some freaky shadow situations. The lefty pose, for example, which according to the wiki is his hostile state, is really chilling. The way his eyes are shrouded in darkness is highly effective at being scary. I liked when the eyes were covered in shadow in FNAF 2, and I love it here as well. Overall, FNAF 6 is pretty bare bones when it comes to lighting, and it's not a large aspect of this game like it is with the previous ones. We're taking a pretty big jump here, from point and click to full-on VR. Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted is a huge shift for the series in every aspect, including the lighting. The first 3 games are remade here, and the lighting from those games that I talked about already is also recreated well. Help Wanted does feature its own minigames though, and with them some unique lighting. The Plush Baby game is the first of these. It takes full advantage of VR, allowing you to point the flashlight around the room to stop the enemies. It's certainly frantic at times and does create some scary moments. This flashlight mechanic is used heavily throughout this entire game. The environments themselves though, don't really feature any lighting that stands out, which is kind of a shame for this game. The flashlight is used in all the night terror levels besides babies, which makes sense because they're essentially this game's version of FNAF 4. Again, these rely heavily on pointing the light. I get that it was a jump to VR where you have the hands and you can point with them, but too much of this game relies on it. The event repair mangle level also uses this, but I kind of like it more here, and I honestly can't really explain why. This game does include a whole set of remix levels of all the mini games as well. Unfortunately, they didn't get creative with the lighting here at all. In fact, I think all the colors just work to distract, without really adding much of any substance. Looking through all of them, the only one that really stands out to me is the Freddy repair game. The whole atmosphere here is different. The monitors and bright white eyes of Freddy really making this minigame scarier than the original. That's the only one though. The other blacklight levels disappoint in terms of the lighting. Overall, Help Wanted is not the strongest when it comes to lighting. It's still a pretty great game though. We're not done with Help Wanted yet. This game also features a DLC, and despite having significantly less minigames, it uses lighting much better than the original base game. Curse of Dreadbear features a lot of fire and flames. Danger Keep Out is a good example of this. When the animatronics are walking down the hall and it lights up in orange, it can be fear-inducing. The real star of the show here though is the corn maze with Grim Foxy. You still have a flashlight, but it's not used to fend off anything. When you're wandering about the dark maze, you can hear Foxy stomping around. The other more interesting way that you can spot him though is his flames. It's frightening to see the path you're about to take light up in orange, and will send you into a scramble to find the nearest hiding spot. This game is great, and I wish there was more of this in the original. Not the flames, obviously, but some creative use of the lighting. Dare I say the Dreadbear DLC is better than the base game, in terms of lighting at the very least. Another minigame here with some good lighting is the hallway level. This minigame is scary, and it's all due to the lighting. The stormy weather causing lightning flashes, revealing monsters in the dark, combined with the red lights from the doors lead to some of the most frightening scenes in the series. This could just be a me thing, but I hate this level for all the right reasons. It still scares me to play, and I almost didn't want to, but I had to get footage for this part somehow. Overall, the lighting in Curse of Dreadbear is strong, and beats the original game. Now I know I've said this about most games up to this point, but I really mean it here. Security Breach is a massive shift for the lighting of this series. Where do I even begin with this one? The presentation of this game is grand. The bright neon lights throughout the entire building give the Pizzaplex a truly unique feel that no other game matches. The pinks, blues, and yellows all mixed together to craft a stunning environment. Grand and expensive are the best ways to describe it. It's fitting too, something that Fazbear Entertainment would surely do after getting away with countless deaths in their locations. Each area within also gives off different vibes. Fazbear Blast is futuristic and high-tech, with all those crazy neon colors I mentioned. It really is like you're on a high-tech alien spaceship, fitting for the theming. Monty Golf is dim and green, with more darker and warmer tones being the spotlight here. It does a fantastic job at matching the theming of Monty's Swamp, and gives the location a whole ton of life. The West Arcade, with its countless neon tubes, vibrant light fixtures hanging from the ceiling, and the colors underneath the path above are truly magical. The DJ has rainbow colors surrounding him. Even the bathrooms have some strong neon lights. Every room in this massive building has done incredibly well with the lighting, and as a result, these locations all feel very real. This is all great, except for one big issue. A huge issue, actually. Five Nights at Freddy's is a horror franchise, and well, This lighting ruins any fear factor the animatronics and locations may have had otherwise. Not once did I say that any of the lighting mentioned is scary, and that's because it's not. The presentation is grand and magical, but it lacks the one thing that a FNAF game should have. There are some dark moments in this game, and these are often cited as people's favorite sections. The daycare when the lights go off, the endos down in parts and services, even the trash dump where Shattered Chica roams. But those are just very small parts of an otherwise very bright game. I'm not saying that lighting has to be dark and scary, but that is the case with this specific game. The creepiest thing in this game is the endos, and the lighting is a big reason why. The way their eyes glow as they stalk you, waiting to make their next move, is so effective at evoking panic. I wish this game had more areas and moments like this though. I mean, really think about it. An absolutely massive building like this, with most of its lights off, and animatronics roaming the darkness, stalking you like animals. The lighting in this game, simply from a visual standpoint, is the best in the whole series, no doubt. From a horror standpoint though, it just doesn't cut it. Security Breach has so many problems surrounding it, and while the lighting does certainly count as one of them, it's not the biggest issue ever. Overall, the lighting feels grand and magical, but doesn't fit into Five Nights at Freddy's. Regardless, here's some of my favorite shots I got while gathering footage for this video. Ruin as a DLC is such a contrast to Security Breach. This game is dark and grim all around, going back to what FNAF should be, leading to a much more frightening lighting situation than the base game. The environments here are built perfectly for this dark tone, leading to a cohesive horror experience. Every room in the building is lit well for this situation. One of my favorite areas for lighting is Phaser Blast. The contrast from the base game and its neon walls to the deactivated and broken lights here is stunning. The attraction feels dark and twisted, and does an amazing job at creating fear. Nothing in particular stands out, but it all works great together to build a truly ruined environment. Once you actually find Glamrock Freddy, there's essentially a spotlight on him. This works great, obviously, to bring attention to him, and warns the player of exactly what is about to happen. The raceway is another great example of the lighting in this game. While also very dark, the lights that do exist are here to guide the player in the right direction. I love when games do this, building a guide right into the environment, and the raceway does a fantastic job. Not to mention how the lighting situation gives Roxy a menacing feel. She's genuinely scary, along with all the other animatronics, and the designs utilize the lighting of the Pizzaplex to shine. It's a complete contrast to anything Security Breach had. Another thing done right in Ruin is the flashlight. Despite how dark the game is, you don't actually have to use it that often. The lighting is dim, but like the raceway, most areas have just enough light to guide you through without the use of the flashlight. It's a hard line to ride, but Ruin pulls it off pretty well. I also haven't even mentioned the AR world this game has to offer. The visuals are stunning, however the lighting suffers quite a bit. It's more bright here, and it takes away from the Ruin aspect of the location. It's not bad, and I think for what it is, there are some really cool scenes, but it's not as good as when you're out of the mask. There's nothing that stands out to me as worth it to talk about in this video. Overall, Ruin does an amazing job at fixing the mistakes of Security Breach, while also adding quite a bit to make the lighting unique. Help on It 2 is a weird one. Being a collection of minigames from mostly places we've already seen, there's not too much to talk about here. It's all good with some very strong lighting, but nothing stands out as super noteworthy. One thing I will say is that just like the first Help Wanted, the flashlight pointing mechanic is quite prevalent here. However, the uses are more creative and dynamic than the original game, but still there's nothing super worth noting. One of my favorite uses of lighting comes down to a sister location remake, the Breaker Room, which is just as good as the original. Of all the original minigames here, I think the carousel level does the most with the lighting. It's just a pointing flashlight level, but the presentation is simply peak. Overall, Help Wanted 2's lighting is strong, but nothing stands out as particularly amazing. Sorry if this is your favorite game ever, I just don't really have a ton to say about it in terms of the topic of today's video. We finally arrive at the end of our very long journey. The newest game, Secret of the Mimic, is yet another entry with strong lighting. It takes what Ruin did and makes it 10 times better. There is one choice here that stands out from all the other Steel Wool era games. You don't ever get a flashlight in this one. Doesn't seem like a big deal at first, until you think about what that really means. They had to go through and design every single environment in this game with that in mind. They did amazing with this. The obvious thing would have just been to have somewhat bright lighting to make sure the player is never lost in the dark. They didn't take this approach though. Instead, each room in this building was set up in such a way to guide the player beautifully through them while still having dark and scary areas. Take the first part of the game when the power is still off. The dim red lights reveal just enough of the storage area without ruining the scare factor of all those empty suits sitting in the dark. Most of the locations in the game are built just like this. Some areas are obviously brighter, but overall the game is consistent with great lighting. Another huge aspect of the lights in this game is how they guide you. There's a ton of examples here, starting with Jackie. The entire chase, from the moment you first see her music box, features many subtle lights to guide you. Every switch also has a light shining on it. Normally this might ruin the immersion, but the way it's done here was perfect. This trend continues throughout the game, being most prominent in the White Tiger area. They actually use the guiding mechanic as more of a gameplay thing and make it really effective. This basement level is actually my favorite in the game, and a huge part of that is the lighting. A pitch black room with a paranormal threat taunting you, while the lights above constantly change on seemingly no consistent pattern. This is so effective at being truly frightening, and shows just how good this game is with the lighting. Every corner of this building is filled with examples of what I mean. Overall, Secret of the Mimic is the strongest lighting in the Steel Wool era, and may very well be the best in the entire series. So what's the point of this video? To draw attention to an underrated aspect of the series. Lighting is present in every single game, and highly influences the way you look at and experience these characters, locations, and environments. This stuff often goes unnoticed, and it's a shame because there was a ton of love and care put into these games. If you take away anything from this video, I hope it makes you appreciate all the little details that go into every part of the lighting that these games feature. This was surprisingly fun to make, and makes me want to create more longer videos like this one. Before I go, I'm still looking for someone to help me create a ref sheet for a new character for the channel. It will be an animatronic, and I will pay you and credit you for it. If interested, shoot me an email, fnafmerchbusiness@gmail.com, with some examples of your work for me to go over. If you like the video, be sure to like it as it helps me out a ton. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye, superstars.